Hello to you, fellow being. Infinite Spiral here, and we are back again in Kerbal Space Program, as we watch the sun rise on this momentous day. Today we are going to do something a little bit special. I have been planning this for a while, but the time just wasn't right. We needed to have enough funds for it and the right contracts. We still don't really have the right contracts for it, but they are pretty close. So what we're going to be doing today is a massive, massive science mission to the moon. So we've got 2 missions to try and make up some of the funds that we're going to be spending. So we've got plant a flag on the moon for 125,000, and the other one is some temperature scans that we'll take care of while we're up there, and that'll bring us another 146. So that should offset some of the costs, but it's still going to be a bit of a loss in terms of funding because we are going to be launching this massive ship that I have built, and you'll see that in a second. But before we can do that, we need to actually do a bit of hiring. So we need pilots. I mean, obviously we could also send, engineers and scientists, but I would really prefer to be able to do this with SAS on every bit of the thing. There's no way to repopulate this, is there? Uh-oh. That's not good. Perhaps if we level up the complex. Yeah, it's very cheap and won't cut into our funds too badly. Okay. Astronaut complex is now maxed out. And there's no difference. The background looks a little different. That's nice. Nice fancy digs they got there. But, yeah, no more people to hire. Crap. Well, that sort of puts us in a bad place. Just right out the gate, we're screwed. Well, not entirely. I guess it's not going to be pilots all the way around. Shit. I am going to have to modify the craft in that case, because we absolutely need the SAS. But I guess we can hire, do I want an engineer or a scientist? I've already got an engineer and 2 scientists. I'll just hire a scientist. Why the hell not? But which one? Is there a stupid scientist? This one's courageous and stupid. I'll take it. Rich bus. Bob Wise. I like that. Okay. Well, our hiring is done. I'm going to go make a couple of additions to the craft, and then I will see you on the launch pad to give you an introduction. See you there. Okay. Modifications have been made, and it is time to get this mission underway. This is Munar Madness. This is going to be a lot of fun. So we have 7 individual landers. All is 1 for now, but once we get into orbit of the moon, those are going to split apart and land each in an individual biome of its own. And yeah, each one is crewed so we can get the maximum amount of science with surface samples and all that good stuff. And my entire crew is on this mission. So if this goes disastrously wrong, I'm going to be out a lot of Kerbals. But I think everything's going to be fine. I have tested this craft just once, and it was up to the task. So I'm hoping that the minor modifications I made, which was to add these probe cores to the tops of 4 of them, just so we get that SAS capability. Yeah, so let's do this. Alright, so I was planning on, meeting back up with you and talking about some stuff in orbit, but turns out that our launch was basically exactly where it needed to be for a full burn all the way to the moon, so we're just going to keep burning. And there's not too much to talk about, but I just wanted to let you know that the reason I needed to be sure of the contracts and all of that was because this thing is very expensive. This is a 400,000 fund craft. So yeah, we've got 2 contracts that are going to make up about 300,000 of that, but we're still losing out on 100 grand. I tried re-rolling the contract for a while to see if I could get something else, but this is what we're stuck with, and honestly 100,000 is not that big of a hit. We will still have plenty of funds left over. I mean, we still have plenty left over, but once we get all of these back, we'll also get some of that back and finish the contracts. We'll get even more. And yeah, everything will be just fine for future ridiculous missions. And this is also going to be probably kind of short. I don't necessarily know exactly how long it's going to take to pull off the first half of this, but once all of these have landed on the moon, I'm going to end it there because the return trip is going to be even more interesting, if you can believe that. I've got some very high aspirations for this mission. So, yeah, I'll go ahead and meet up with you when we are encountering the moon. Because this burn's going to be another, like, 5 minutes, probably. Long burn. A lot of mass to push. So yeah, see you there. And we have reached the moon. It's just time to set up an orbit real quick. And, yeah, then we can get things really truly underway. So, I don't know if this stage is going to stay attached or not once we get the orbit established. We'll have to just find out how much is left there. But, yeah, aside from that, I forgot to mention, you know, the biggest reason that this is such a costly mission is because the part count on this thing was, I don't even know how many parts, but it was an enormous part count. And, yeah, the launch was sort of hectic. I mean, obviously it went very smoothly, but that was because I knew what to do. The frame rate was just terrible. I mean, probably 3 or 4 frames per second. Not totally certain, but okay, yeah, it looks like this thing is going to run out of fuel before we get our full orbit. I mean, we already have an orbit established now, but it's not going to be circular like I want it before we run out on this. And it doesn't necessarily have to be. You know, we could land, you know, individually each of these from sort of an eccentric orbit, but I'd rather have it be roughly circular, I suppose. Even though some of the adjustments we're going to have to make, there it goes, will be sort of drastic from a circular orbit, but honestly, there's no big deal. Each of these is fully capable of getting this mission done. You've seen these landers in action before. They're very, very effective. So there we go. Orbit circularized, for the most part. 105 and 116. Good enough. Now, I need to choose my targets, because I'm trying to hit different biomes with each ship, and, you know, the biomes aren't immediately obvious just by looking at the moon. I mean, some of them are, because each of these really large craters counts as its own biome. There are also biomes for, like, all of these small craters, I think, count as one biome, all of them together, but there's other ones that really aren't so obvious, like these canyons here. I think that might be its own biome, that might not be, it's hard to say, but there are certain places where you wouldn't expect a biome, but there is one, like this right here. That's its own biome. I will bring up a map that I'm going to be using right now. Look at it, it's there on screen. But yeah, I'm going off of that map, and I already have a number of biomes, you know, mapped out, or not mapped, but I already have the research from them. Obviously, I don't have everything because I only recently unlocked the gravioli detector, but I'd rather not, you know, mop up the remaining science from those areas. I'd like to get all fresh science for this mission. And yeah, so I need to go back to the Space Center and find out which biomes I have hit. Actually, no, I don't need to do that necessarily, because back to map screen, hello. We can just turn on the flags and see which ones we have, because that was why we did those. So we have a Midlands biome already finished and an East Crater. And apparently those are the only two. Okay, excellent. In that case, we will go ahead and target, you know, different biomes for each of them. So, what would be easy from this orbit? It looks like this one right here would be one. And also this one right here. And I'll probably send a third up to this canyon as well. So Midlands is covered. That's basically all of this sort of whitish highland area. I guess I could send one down here once they get around to the other side. And we can, you know, alter the inclination to get some on that course. So, let us separate. Ah, majestic. Look at the squadron. Now, I know there's a mod called, I think it's called Burn Together, that would let me actually, like, control all of those at the same time. I don't have that, and I'm not going to get it, because I don't really like to mess with mods that change gameplay. But I will be doing something sort of similar to that on the return trip. But we'll get to that later. For now, we need to get all of these down to the ground. So I'll go ahead and fast forward through this part where we set up the different orbits and get everything ready. But man, that looks nice. I like it. Alright, be with you shortly. Okay, my ships are all lined up with their, you know, prospective targets. Nice little orbital, electron orbital map going on here, even though, you know, that's an inaccurate model of electrons and how matter works. Nobody cares. Don't know why I'm talking about chemistry. So, I think it's time to bring these guys down to the ground. Hit their prospective targets. I really hope I'm saying the right word there, prospective. Yeah, respective. Respective targets, sure. Anyway, let's get to it. See you there. Alright, so I've got 4 of them landed, and the last one I did was not so great. I might not be able to pull off the huge, difficult thing I was planning tomorrow. That was going to require quite a bit of fuel, and I'm not entirely certain that thing can even get back to Kerbin from the moon at this point, because, yeah, bad landing, lots of fuel wasted, but these other 2 need to actually orbit almost entirely a full revolution before we can get them down to their landing sites. So I'm going to go ahead and get this one set up to get these temperature scans. So yeah, time to do some retro burning, bring our orbit way down, because I think those are all actually in flight. They're just really low towards the ground. Need to check that. Yeah, most of them. Okay, one of them is above 10,000 meters. The rest of them are all under, you know, 72, 9,000, and 7,900. So, which one is above? That's PG6X, which is that one that we are headed towards. Perfect. So we can go ahead and lower the opposite side of the orbit for now, and then once we get past the PG-6X and take that, we can lower the other side once we're on the opposite side at the periapsis and get the rest of these set up, although that one is sort of an outlier. I didn't really account for that. I may have to do some special maneuvering for that. But in any case, we're going to go ahead and get this underway. I'll go ahead and fast forward through this because it's going to be kind of boring for you. So yeah, here we go. Okay, so I sort of massively misjudged the difficulty of getting these temperature scans with a single craft. Especially in terms of a craft that was, you know, intended to land on the planet, or the moon, and still return to Kerbin and all that, and yeah, so we don't really have enough fuel to do that with just one craft. Fortunately, I don't think it actually has to be done with one craft. I think we just need to take the measurements. So I have gone away from my original plan, and I've changed some orbits just a little bit so that they're still going to hit their targets, but now the original one, and of course the original craft that I chose for all of the temperature scans was very foolishly and accidentally the only one that doesn't have any, you know, maneuver holds, just because, or not maneuver, but just the hold buttons, because it's the only craft with a level 0 pilot. It's the freshly hired Bob Wise. Good job, Bob. But, Bob Wise, I should say. Bob is a different Kerbal. Wait, is Bob dead? Or did Bill die? I can't even remember. That's sad. But yeah, so now we've got it set up, so we're going to come and grab this one and also land in that crater at basically the same time. So I need to remember to get that temperature scan while I am falling towards the surface. And the other two are going to be gotten by this craft over here, because it's sort of set up. He might actually have to go around one more time in order for those to rotate into place, because the moon's equator is, I mean, as you can see, it's right through there. And so it's rotating towards that orbit. The temperature areas are rotating towards that orbit, so I don't think they'll get there on this pass, but they might. Hopefully they'll get there after a full pass, or after a full revolution of the other craft, and not, you know, between the times. If that's the case, we can always, you know, adjust as necessary. But yeah, that's the basic plan. So, let's get this thing down to the ground and to this temperature scan, shall we? Alright, got the temperature scan, now let's get down to the ground. And yeah, again, we're running pretty low on fuel. This is sort of hectic. We'll be fine for the landing, it's just the return trip I'm worried about. Alright, another absolutely horrible landing. Jesus. Very, very tempted to go and load the quick save, because that was really, really bad. It's entirely because I got used to relying on the retro hold on the other landings, and that, yeah, that's... it's nice and handy, but it sort of spoils you and makes you bad at manual landings, so... yeah. I think I'm gonna... I don't know, I didn't quick save after making all the damn maneuver changes to get the temperature scans. Really don't want to do that again. This fuel situation is not good, though. Screw it. We stick with what we got. Whatever happens, happens. Alright. Let's get these other temperature scans. Well, actually, we're going to land this one first, and then go get those temperature scans. And it looks like that original target is no longer lined up. He was supposed to land in those crevices there, the canyons up north of that crater right there. So his target may change, or we may waste some more fuel. Hey, that's still lined up. That's nice. So that might still work out, although once these rotate into place, that will probably have rotated out of place, which means, yeah, we're going to be messing with our targeting, but in the end, everything should be working out just fine, I hope. I don't know. I undertook too much with this mission. That's my own fault. In any case, let's get this one down to the ground. Alright, all but one on the ground. This last one has not the most stable sort of landing surface, but hey, I think it'll be okay. We'll find out when we get out to take the surface sample, but yeah, hopefully it works out. If it doesn't and it tips, then that one has plenty of fuel to spare for a silly Kerbal takeoff. So let us swap to the last ship and find out, after a quick save, like so, if we're going to be able to get these temperature scans on this pass. I really hope that that is the case, but it may not be. I don't know. They did rotate some, but not as much as I had hoped. So we may have to change inclination. Well, obviously we're going to absolutely have to change to get this one, but we'll see if we're coming in at the right area, if we enter that area as we come in right now. But it seems like we probably won't. And indeed we didn't. Okay. So that's one more pass while it rotates into place. And when we get to the opposite side, we will also change inclination to make up for that problem of, yeah, not being quite on the right line. So that'll be about like that. That's probably, what, a 4-second burn or something like that. 26 meters per second. Yeah, that's no problem. And that will have them rotating into place at roughly the same time again, which means we'll probably have to make another couple of passes before they are in place, but we will get them lickety-split. So I'll go ahead and fast forward to that for you. Oh my, I landed right on the precipice there. But that is that. We have all of our temperature scans. That contract is complete. Now, we're going to go ahead and end the episode here. I will go ahead and take all of my science and plant all of my flags off screen. And in the next episode, it'll be special. We're going to bring all of the ships back as best we can and try and land them all simultaneously. And if possible, maybe even at the Space Center. That is probably the biggest challenge I have ever given myself, and I don't know that I'm going to be capable of it, but I want to try. It's going to be super hard. And super, hopefully not super frustrating, but hopefully fun. So, yeah. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to leave a like. If you'd like to see more and you're not already subscribed, feel free to also do that. You know, subscribe. That thing I just said. I'm Infinite Spiral, this is Kerbal Space Program. We will see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching.